Welcome back to the SolidCAM mill turn training video sessions. In the last video, we just put the facing operation down on the front of the part. Now let's deal with the OD turning profile. So from the SolidCAM turning tab, I'm going to go into turning mode. You'll notice that you're presented with the same workflow window: geometry, tools, levels, technology, and link. Again, with the geometry selection, I can either choose to interact with the wireframe that it built that when we created our initial setup, or I can interact with the solid model. Again, this is a personal preference type of thing. If I wanted to use wireframe here instead, I could go in and say new. And then from here, I'm going to tell it where do I want it to begin on this point. So I'm going to snap to the right of the midpoint of that arc, and it will chase it back to the end point of that entity. And so that's where it's going to start its profile at. And then where do I want the profile to end? And you can selectively kind of intermittently pick these profiles and kind of keep adding to it if you want to, or you could just pick the ending element of where you want to encapture for that toolpath to be enclosed. So once I have the chain selected and highlighted for the profile that I want to machine, I'm going to go ahead and accept this chain and collect this into my toolpath. You do have the modify option here, like we did in the face, where we auto extended it to the start and the end of the stock. If I did want to carry this down or in a different direction off the end and carry this maybe further off the back, I could do that as well. Or alternatively, I could do that through lead in and lead outs. But in this case here, we really don't need to modify geometry. Now, for the tool selection, I do have tools mounted on both the upper B-axis carousel, as you can see here. These are all in the magazine of the machine's tool changer. Then I also have tools mounted onto the revolver or the lower turret. And so what I can do is I can pick the tool that I want to use. In this case here, I want to use tool 12. And then I can take this particular tool holder and use this as my tool for turning this profile. From here, again, don't really need to change anything with levels. In the technology tab, this is where the contents of the main parameters of your toolpath is concerned. This is an OD, long turning profile. Is it ID? Do I want to treat it as a facing operation or a back facing operation instead? In this case here, I want to treat it as turning, long external. Work type rough. When you have this set to rough, you're going to have a corresponding rough tab here at the top. If you were to change this to copy, you're going to get a copy tab at the top. The fundamental differences here are the direction that the toolpath travels in. So if we were to look at, for instance, when I set this to rough, my passes will run parallel to the z-axis. So it's just going to run the toolpath parallel to the z-axis. If the set is set to copy, in the copy tab here, what you're going to see is that it will take the part shape and offset that shape towards the extent of your stock. So select which mode that you want to run in. In this case here, I'm going to go ahead and pick rough only. And then on the roughing tab, here is where I'll define my parameters. So what do I want for a step down per side? How far do I want to come off of it in between passes? You know, it's going to come off at 0.2 of a millimeter while it's retracting, and then re-engaging the material at a 1 millimeter step down. Am I cutting one directional or bidirectional? If I have an insert that can cut both directions, I will go ahead and set that there. How much stock am I leaving on for finishing? And then you're going to have a semi-finish and finish tab up here at the top. Am I going to take a semi-finish pass with this tool? And do I want to take a finish pass with this tool? I want to rough only with this tool and then finish with a second tool. So I'm not going to turn on any types of finish strategies here. Once I have those parameters set, I'll go ahead and hit save and calculate, and it will run me a turning operation on the OD of the part profile. Now, I personally like to use save and copies. Save and copies is a great way to get a perfectly redundant toolpath, allowing you to either change the geometry or change any of the tool parameters or the tooling itself. So the geometry is going to be still the same profile. I want to finish that profile now with a finish pass only. So from here, I'm going to go in and select my finish tool. And for this example here, again, I'm going to go back down to my revolver and grab this finish tool here. Once I have the tool selected for that operation, I'll go down to the technology tab, and instead of roughing with this tool, this is going to be a finish only. That will remove the rough tab or the copy tab, depending on what you were set to there, and then you can give it the definition for what you're going to be finishing. Do I want to take a semi-finish pass? Do I want to take a finish pass? In this case here, I do want to do an ISO turning method, start at the front of the part, and then carry it off to the the end of the profile that was selected? Do I want to run the finish pass where it's only detecting rest material only, or do I want to run that finish pass on the entirety of the profile? We have 8,500 pictures or more in the product that update depending on what you pick to try to give you a good definition of what that parameter is doing. So in this case here, I want to run the finish pass on the entire profile, and I will go ahead and hit save and calculate. So now we've added two operations to it. It's the facing we did in the previous video. We just added our rough turn and our finish turn. Again, if I wanted to review those, I can highlight those two operations, bring that into simulation, go into turning mode. Turning mode, again, is that 2D type of turning visualization that sometimes gives you a better view of what it is that that toolpath is actually doing when compared to working on a solid. And then there's our finish pass to run the finish OD of the part. Alternatively, I can take this into solid verification. Solid verify will load everything into it, and then I can run these toolpaths in solid verify. Now that we have a more completed toolpath, it's not just a facing operation. Solid verification will show you a very good picture of what that turning part looks like. And then within the simulation parameters here as well, you have some settings that you can change up here. This is kind of handy, this compare feature. You can give it the values for plus or minus stock conditions that you would want to see, and I can go ahead and have it show me what we've done. So anything in that yellow and green are machine to size, anything in blue is heavy stock. So we still have some more operations that we need to mitigate on our part yet to do, and those will be coming up in the upcoming videos. Thank you for following along with this video. Hope to see you again on the next.